Alright guys, welcome back to another video. We've got the whiteboard out and I'm going to walk you through a 10-minute pitch presentation that you can build to automate your sales calls. Not the sales calls itself, but remove the pitch completely so that you can focus more on the conversation and you no longer have to cut out the time from when you're having a good conversation back and forth to then this is the sales pitch. And then you pull up a presentation on Zoom, a slideshow, whatever it is, makes the call feel awkward. They feel like you're just being salesy and selling to them. It's just something that you can remove entirely and increase your close rate whilst reducing the time you need to spend on sales calls. So if you've got a sales team, it's going to be great for actually making sure that the script they follow is going to be a lot closer to how you want it to be, and the prospect is going to have a much better experience going through the pre-call and the sales call itself. But as a founder, if you're still doing the sales calls, it's going to reduce the amount of time you spend doing sales calls. It's going to increase your close rate. Even if it's already high, if it's in a good place, it's going to increase it as well. So I want to walk you through, first of all, where you actually use this sales call process, right? The Welcome Pack VSL that we call it. You're probably familiar already with the words VSL, a video sales letter. Traditionally, that's used, I'd say, by most people. They understand it as being on a landing page. So let me just walk you through, first of all, because we're not going to rush this. I'm going to try and take 10 to 15 minutes to walk you through it, first of all, so that you totally understand it. I don't know which color to go with. I was going to say which flavor to go with then. But I'm going to go with, I've stuck red on the title of Stop Pitching on Sales Calls, because I truly believe you should stop pitching on sales calls. You don't need to do the pitch. This is all about making sure that they are fully aware of what you do, regardless of who's booked in. So if anyone's booked in, when they go through this Welcome Back VSL, I always used to ask whoever I was speaking to, have you seen the video? Because if they haven't seen the video, I would genuinely rather them watch the video before I take them through the call, so I don't have to change the structure of the call, especially when I was trying to get other people to do the calls for me. Otherwise it just makes the training process much more complicated. So let's go with black, and let's walk you through, first of all, the customer journey, right? So let's say you're a service business. Us ourselves with PB Academy, we were a fitness coaching service. We scaled it up to a full team of delivery coaches and a sales process at the start as well. I was still stuck on the sales calls. I didn't have the margin to scale it beyond that, but we did in other businesses. So I'll walk you through this now. So we've got the traffic. So let's just say traffic up here. Oh, nice. This is a much better pen. Okay, so we've got the traffic. So that could come from social media. It could come from paid ads. If you are running from paid ads, you already know the problems of show-up rates. This is going to help with show-up rates for the calls as well, but definitely warming up those prospects. Social media tends to be organic, right? Which basically means they are warm when they come into you. So when these leads are coming to you, they're already warm because they follow you from organic social media, whereas paid ads tend to be much cold traffic, right? Cold leads. So this is also going to help with warming them up, right? So you've got the traffic here and they're coming down through the funnel. So we've got a little funnel here. And then the next step is going to be probably your landing page. Landing page, yeah. And this is traditionally where you'd see the VSL. This is a traditional VSL. Tends to be a little bit shorter for most people on this page here, because especially if they're cold, you know, they're not going to spend a lot of time watching a video of yours if they have no idea who you are. So what we want to do is with this VSL, it's going to be a lot shorter. It's going to be more so pointing out the problems that they've got, making sure that if you look at a journey of awareness, like where are they on the awareness scale? Problem aware, then you've got solution aware, then you've got product aware. So where are they on that scale? Are they actually, and do they fully understand the actual problems they've got? I'm not talking about the problems they think they have. I'm talking about the problems you know they have. So if they knew the problems, they'd already be on to solutions. So most of the time, it's actually educating them on the problems they feel they have and then taking them to the problems they think they have. An example of this would be, right, in coaching, with fitness coaching, what we would do all the time with our organic social media content, so right at the top of the funnel, people would think that they can't stick to a diet, right? They'd say, I've tried all these different types of diets. My problem is I can't stick to it. So we then educate them on the fact with our content that it's not about the types of diets that you're trying to follow. It always comes back to the calories in versus calories out, the basics like that, and make them realize that that's not the problem. The type of diet isn't the problem. The problem is that by the end of the day, you're over consuming on the amount of calories you've got, regardless of what diet it is. So that's an example of how you would take someone from the problem they think they have to the actual problem they do have, and then how can we fix that then. That's when you get down to solution aware. So this is what your VSL should be doing, and then it positions you as the authority, solution, the product, to actually fix that problem. But right now, at this stage in the funnel, you just want them taking that next step. So they're taking the next step. Let's get to the point of the video, which is the Welcome Pack VSL. So they take the next step, right? They go down again. Let's get to a different color here. What should we go? Green, because no, we're not at green yet. We'll go blue. So now, let's say they've booked a call, right? Let's say they've either applied, because your form here on the lander will either be an apply or a book call. There's loads of different funnels you can do as well. Like it could be a lead magnet funnel. You could have lead magnet. You could have some sort of like what's the word? Like a quiz. You could have a quiz. Any sort of form. You could any reason to get their details and start targeting them, nurturing them, and that's when there's all sorts of different marketing techniques to get them to this next stage, which is where they trust you enough to now go and apply specifically for the service or book the call with your team, right? Now, this is the stage where the Welcome Pack VSL is so important. It's going to, like I said, it's going to reduce the time you spend on calls, especially if you're a founder. It's going to increase your close rate, even if you've got a sales team or you're still doing sales yourself and you've got a good close rate. So this has absolutely changed the game for me, right? I had to figure this out, and I'll tell you why. Because when we were scaling up, I was still the guy that was having to do all the calls for every single client we brought on board. Now, bear in mind, our LTV for a fitness service was about 6 to 8 months on average. That's with other coaches doing the service. Now, that is far above average. Average in our industry was 3 months. We were pushing that well beyond what it was capable of because we were delivering a great service. But secondly, we were also going through so many clients. We were working with so many people and having an impact on so many people. On average, our active client base was 250 active clients. Now, for a fitness service, one fitness service, not one coach, one fitness service, that's incredible, right? Considering we didn't have a big organic following, we weren't using paid ads, we were doing this purely through organic and mainly through our strategies of putting out great lead magnets, getting the leads, nurturing them, taking them through this call process and selling them on the service. But I was doing all the sales calls. Every single person we worked with, I spoke to them and I had sold them on the service. So how did I manage to do that, right? At the very beginning, it was tough because I was spending much more time on calls because I was pitching to every single person. And it was only through that repetitiveness of the calls that I realized this chunk of the call, this 10 minutes or 10 to 15 minutes that I pull up the presentation off the end after a good conversation and I start to pitch to them, that could be done prior. That could be done before the call. And secondly, it's going to qualify them on the service as well. Because with this Welcome Pack VSL, I know you don't know much about it right now, but what it does is it educates them on the packages we've got. It educates them on who we work with, how we deliver our service, how we get results, the expectations from them, the expectations about the call they're about to go on, everything. And it just qualifies that prospect. It warms them up because they hear you in a different format, not on a call, but in a place where they're far more open to receiving all this information. Think about it. If you're into one-to-one conversation, why does it make sense to pull up a presentation and pitch to someone? Whereas when it's a pre-recorded video, they understand that this is not directly targeting them. So they don't feel like it's salesy. They feel like they're just watching a video and they're being educated just like you are here. So that's why this is so important, right? And I'm going to tell you where it's about now. So next stage is let's go green now because this is the point where it's important. Actually, no, let's talk, I don't know. I'm playing about with these new colors today, right? So let's go down here. Let's say they do apply and they book a call and this is the sales call, right? Sales, can you see that on the video? Yes, sales call, right? So with you, either you as the founder, the owner of the business, or your team. So this is the toughest part. And right now you've probably got a stage. Yeah. So at the start, you've got the discovery. This is the call process, right? You've got the discovery part. Then you've got the pitch. So you obviously pitch your solution as so basically find out their problems. And then you're the solution. I don't know if you can see that. And then obviously the close, right? That's where you handle potential objections and everything and you get the payment on the call. Anyway, there's two ways they can turn up to this call. Now, if any of you run paid ads, cold traffic, like I said before, you'll know that the show up sequence is so important, right? Or maybe you don't, and now that's why you've got low show up rates. So dealing with, let me call it show up sequence. Show up sequence. So the show up sequence is basically a nurturing sequence. So just like you would at any point, nurture them with emails and SMS automations. And ideally you want to make it as tailored as possible to the individual that's filled in the form, depending on how they've answered the questions to that form. Whatever quiz or multiple choice questions you've got, you should retarget them differently with all of the emails and automations you've got set up. That's going to increase the likelihood that they show up to that call. Just think of it in an individual setting. If you've booked in with someone 4 days in advance, right? Number one, anything beyond 4 days of booking is going to be a decrease massively in the amount of people that actually show up, the percentage likelihood that they do show up. So make sure that your calendar doesn't go more than 4 days in advance. But when they do pick that time, now they're going to be sent a lot of information to warm them up ready for that call, to basically prepare them for that call. Now, this is where we take this part here, that let's say it takes 10 to 15 minutes, right? The pitch where you pitch your solution. We place that in the show up sequence, right? So that's just showing you how this works. So we remove this segment that's repetitive on sales calls, where you do it for 10 to 15 minutes, you speak to them, you present to them in a professional way. It makes the call go difficult, awkward, salesy. They just sit back on a Zoom being presented to, they feel like they're being sold to, and they feel like what was a really nice, open, productive, natural conversation, authentic, now changes to a sales pitch where they're going to be pushed to take money today. This is going to result in a much lower close rate compared to removing this completely, placing it in the show up sequence, where now it acts to warm up the prospect, to qualify the prospect before the call, to make them far more open to what the call is going to be about, where this then can last as long as you need it to, and then you're more likely to close. So very simple, reduces the time you spend on the call, increases your close rate, and it just makes your life a whole lot easier. You're no longer repeating yourself, or your sales guys are no longer repeating themselves on the call. The alternative to this, right, is you have this in place here, you have nothing here, and you have a much lower show rate, yeah, and you will actually speak to unqualified leads, which you don't want. So basically, it's a lose-lose. If you don't have this Welcome Pack VSL, this professional presentation, and a pitch before the actual sales call, you're going to have a lower close rate, you're going to spend more time on calls repeating yourself, and you're going to speak to less people because the show-up rate will be lower, and you're going to speak to unqualified leads, which is very painful. So this is one of the biggest and best things we've done in our service-based businesses, and it's something I don't see a lot of people doing. The top dogs all do it, by the way. So don't think that this is something that we've only done, we've figured it out, we're geniuses. We're not. We've just analyzed everything, and the best service-based businesses, they all do this exceptionally well. If you follow Alex Hormozi, he's a big believer in this, and if you look at his businesses that he's actually sold, Gym Launch, that was incredibly successful as a service-based business. I've been through their call process. We've got a gym ourselves as well. I've been through their call process, and this is something they really go above and beyond on this part, right? The videos they send you before the call, you have to watch them. Their trainings that you need to watch before the call to not waste their time. They're positioning themselves as the authority, right? So this is something you need to figure out. This is something we can definitely help with. We've got a video just breaking down the actual Welcome Pack VSL, the actual Welcome Pack presentation you need to put together, slide by slide, what you're supposed to cover for your specific service, so that you can actually deliver on this and make it an actual success for your business as well. So if you want to find out more about that and how you can obviously reduce the time you spend on calls, increase your close rate, make sure you check out that video as well, and you can build your own Welcome Pack VSL, understand the framework behind every single slide. But this channel, if you want to subscribe and find out more about all of what we do to basically help you grow as we grow, because we're still on the journey as well, we're still trying to grow as a service-based business. This is what it's all about. So hopefully you like this video. I hope you took some value from it, and yeah, I'll speak to you soon.